Um, I'm just trying to decide if I'm comfortable even talking about that.
This one's wife. They don't live together. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. This one's wife is a narcissist. There is overwhelming evidence that demonstrates that. Prince Harry is what I determine as the intimate partner primary source victim. This means that he is the most important person in her fuel matrix, as he's the individual that provides the most fuel, character traits and residual benefits that is the easiest to control. Hence, he attained that position of IPPS. It is normally the case that the narcissist and the IPPS will live together. They may or may not be married. In this case, they are. Marriage is used for the purposes of asserting control over that victim by binding them, and also is utilized for facade management, the idea being that marriage shows a stability, a decency, which then can be triangulated with the rest of the world. As Alec Baldwin's character in The Departed memorably explained, that by having a ring on your finger, it shows that somebody can tolerate you and that your cock works. A wonderful summation there from Mr. Baldwin. I've talked about the narcissist and marriage in separate videos, so you can watch those and learn more. But it is usually the case that the intimate partner primary source will live with the narcissist because that enables the narcissist to keep controlling that person and to draw fuel from them. There will be some instances where an IPPS and a narcissist do not live together and they're still the IPPS. They spend a lot of time with one another, go places together, stay at one another's houses, but don't formally live together. But you can still have that position of IPPS. There might be instances, of course, where separation takes place. This could be where the victim has escaped, or it could be where the narcissist has disengaged the victim. What about the circumstances of would a narcissist no longer live with the intimate partner primary source, but still have a meaningful interaction with them? Well, of course, there could be instances where the victim or the narcissist have to be away as a consequence of work. But I'm not including that as a potential example. Would there be instances where a narcissist would have a situation whereby the narcissist and the IPPS don't live together, but to the outside world create the image of them still being together? This could happen. The separation might be because the victim seeks to escape, but has been persuaded, as a consequence of potential threats, etc., that an outward image needs to be preserved, perhaps for the sake of the children, and therefore goes along with the idea of appearing to stay together, even though they live separately. The narcissist would not be altogether pleased with that, because the victim is the one that has moved out. And although they may agree to the portrayal of a united front to the outside world, it has still wounded the narcissist because the victim is the one that has decided to move. Instead, it's more likely that what the narcissist does, in the typical manner of having the cake and eating it, is to remove the victim from the house, but continues to have some form of relationship with them and portrays to the outside world the image that they are together. This way, the narcissist in effect has the best of both worlds. The potential threats to control that the IPPS may have been manifesting during devaluation are quashed by not having them around as much. The narcissist may not have any difficulties with fuel because they still have some interactions with the IPPS, but rely more upon non-intimate secondary sources, tertiary sources. Possibly they've been cultivating an intimate partner secondary source. And the IPPS no longer being around allows that cultivation greater opportunity. It means the facade is maintained to the outside world of being a good parent, or perhaps also preserving a brand, because the continued existence of that brand is important as a residual benefit to the narcissist. The victim, however, is in limbo. Whilst they're not physically with the narcissist as much as they once were, and thus it follows they'll be less subjected to the abuses, they're far from free. They don't live together, but they still do things together, and they're not able to move on. It certainly is something that a narcissist may well conjure up as part of that never truly letting go of anybody. As you know from my other works, the narcissist disengages from you for a variety of reasons, and then invariably will focus upon somebody else. And whilst that narcissist is preoccupied with the new victim, unless you get in the face of the narcissist, you'll be largely left alone as the former intimate partner primary source. But the narcissist may still hoover you in certain circumstances, still engage with you, because we never truly let go of you. Even where we disengage, we have that inalienable right to come back as and when we choose, because, subconsciously, we see you as belonging to us. It's similar with this one's wife and Harry, that she, for instance, may well, in the fullness of time, disengage from him, but he still belongs to her, meaning, at an appropriate time, she may well hoover him, possibly benignly, possibly malignly, dependent upon circumstances. Accordingly, a scenario whereby this one's wife and Harry no longer live together, but pretend that they are united vis-à-vis the outside world, is entirely conceivable. It's not something that he would be happy about, but it's something that would work for her, because it enables her to continue to control him, both in terms of keeping him away when he proves a threat to control, drawing fuel from him when there are interactions, maintaining an all-important facade for the purposes of telling the outside world this is an idyllic marriage, we're great parents, and, of course, the preservation of a brand. Now, whilst we all know that brand Sussex is dog dirt, the fact is that this one's wife's narcissism recognises that the only reason that people know about her is as a consequence of her connection to Prince Harry, despite its attempts to turn her into something else, a celebrity standing on her own 2 feet. That has wholly failed. And therefore, at least until such time as she's able to ensnare somebody else, she needs Prince Harry. She doesn't want to be with him because she sees him as a failure, but she continues to need to trade on the connection, and thus the callous, guilt-free, conscience-free narcissist will by one turn push him away, but then also keep him on a leash for those residual benefits. Thus, it is entirely conceivable that they present a united front to the world whilst not actually living together. And this is something that has been reinforced by the suggestion of Me Again NYC posting on the subreddit Saint This One's Wife. As you know, they use her whole name. I don't. Me Again NYC has posted some information that has been produced by somebody called Benjamin Smallbrook, who has been writing on Quora. This is what Mr. Smallbrook has written about the state of play between the Sussexes. When I overheard someone on the next table saying they are taking time apart to reevaluate their marriage, of course I listened carefully. They were discussing this one's wife and her pitiful husband. I will say at this point, these people in Bray don't guess. They know what's going on. Literally, hundreds of members of the royal household live in the surrounding area. They know each other and they talk. I didn't hear anything that we don't already know, but everyone was in agreement. They don't live together. Harry is worn out. Business deals have failed and the public has turned against them. He's trying to figure out what hit him. He doesn't fit in with her tacky Tinseltown world. The comments were relentless. She no longer wears her wedding ring, and they don't travel together. They live apart and come together to avoid media attention and to protect their brand. What an absolute mess Harry has made of his life. Now, the issue of the mess that Harry has made of his life is something for a separate video. But this piece of information presented by Benjamin Smallbrook suggests that it's well known among members of the royal household that the Sussexes no longer live together and simply come together to avoid media scrutiny of their marriage and to protect that brand. Why would Harry do this? Well, he's still enthralled to his wife, and on the one hand, he recognises the unpleasant behaviours that she subjects him to as a consequence of the sustained devaluation and would want to be away from that. But he also faces that confusion of still loving her and still wanting to be together and to protect the family unit. And of course, he would buy into trying to avoid media scrutiny because of his hatred for the media. He may be less concerned about the brand, but would go along with it because he thinks that there's a possibility that they would get back together again. Time and time again, I have dealt with victims who've come to me seeking clarification where they recognise that they're being abused, but they still want to be with the narcissist. It's a consequence of the addiction and the emotional thinking. Thus, whilst he won't like it, it is something that Harry would well go along with. As for this one's wife, as I explained previously, this will be at her orchestration. Harry is nearing disengagement. He's in the sustained devaluation, and basically causing a separation is part of the devaluation of him. Shunting him elsewhere, giving her more time to do what she wants, more time to try and build up her separate brand, more time to cultivate, seeking out a new intimate partner, and thus it serves her purposes. She doesn't care about him, he's simply an appliance. In a way, it's like having a washing machine that you find offensive to look at, so you've gone and put it in the outhouse, but you still use it from time to time pending the arrival of a new one. That is the way that Harry is being treated. Furthermore, media scrutiny equates to a threat to control, and therefore her narcissism is entirely going to look to prevent that from happening by maintaining this outward image of we're together and we're happy. Similarly, as I explained earlier, she's nothing without Harry, and until such time she can either 1. Create her own brand and be a celebrity in her own right, which actually will never happen, or 2, which is more likely, find someone else, she's going to hold on to him. So she finds herself in this paradoxical state of not wanting him, but needing him. And thus they've separated, but she doesn't fully let go of him, for the reasons that have been explained. I leave it for you to determine whether you believe that they don't live together, but in terms of something that could happen within the narcissistic dynamic, it's certainly entirely conceivable. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.